Welcome to Space Socket. A 55-year-old woman says chasing freedom brought her struggle. Kevin Samuels steps in to check her. Let's dive in.
Go ahead, Alicia. Hey, how are
Uh,
you?
Hi, Kevin. I'm good.
What do you got for me?
First of all, my ex-husband rejected me. He does not want to remarry.
Uh
So I'm
oh. Well, at least
available.
you, but at least you, but at least you know now, though, right?
I tried.
Hey, well, at least you tried.
I tried. The other thing is on the subject. Well, the first thing I saw was the thumbnail on the subject
Mm.
and the domestic violence. I'll say that I watched my mother, a baby boomer,
Mhm.
get to California after her parents migrated from the South, came for better and more. And my mom she just went buck wild. She was a pretty woman,
Mhm.
beautiful lady, but she had a mouth, almighty. And she stood up to men and she was independent and a go getter and all of that. And I watched her fight men. And as a child, I grew up in a home
Mhm.
full of violence, full of her mouth and fights with men.
Okay. See,
My
what one thing?
grandparents,
Hold on. One thing I want to ask you about this, though. See, that's one thing we never really talk about is between men. There's a low level threat of violence. We know when to turn our mouths off, but I know women in my own family too that would knowingly instigate stuff with men to violence because in place and I'm about to say something that's going to be controversial, so let me be careful. Some people like to fight in order to make up. I'll just leave
which
it
is
there. With each
which is
other. Yeah,
psychotic.
yeah, yeah, because the makeup relations are crazy.
Right. And to me, the soft and gentle, sweet kind of makeup is much more deep and much more intimate and much more like on a higher level of intimacy. But that's because I'm from a different generation. So she got to California, just free and liberated, unlike what, her mom
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
father were doing. So I guess she was, pressing or pushing the boundaries a bit and she just felt more free, so the
So that was
whole,
also the time where it was the 60s, it was free love. Birth control was
right.
new. They didn't have the radioactive STDs. I mean, maybe had a little gonorrhea or clap, a little penicillin was gone. But I'm gonna
Oh,
say
wow.
something that one of my next in my neighborhood where I live, of all the there were only two married couples on the block, and the rest of us on the block were single mothers. The woman that lived to the left of us, I'm not gonna say her name, but this was a very pretty, attractive woman. And I remember her getting into fights all the time with her man. I remember her sitting in my mom's house one day when she's sitting up there and my mom asked her, why do y'all get into it all the time? He's like, well, I know he loved me when he fights me. And she's like, well, why do you keep pushing him to where you she she would keep pushing this man until he responded. And to
Mhm.
her, that was love. But see, what people saw was the after effect of 4 hours of incessant. And where
Right.
is that written in a report? How is that
That's right.
collated from the Census Bureau? Where is that put in the DHS and in the memos? They're not, because when a man says something, they just go, "Yeah, just man up." So,
Right.
um,
And so I grew up watching that, and my grandparents, on the other hand, never fought like that. They had a different way of
mhm,
resolving conflict. And so here I am, Generation X, having both points of views because my grandparents did raise me. My mom had me at 15. She was wild. My grandparents weren't. I decided that I would do something different.
mhm,
And I was married for 16 years. I had a successful marriage. I could have stayed in it, worked it out, but I
mhm.
didn't like the cheating. And I thought that I could find a happy medium for myself in between putting up with things that I didn't want to put up with or, completely just disrespecting. the ideal and the constitution or the institution of marriage. So I'm single now and I'm happy at 55, and I'm counseling young women through their relationships and their behavior, because I see a lot of them with those bad habits of talking, yelling, arguing, fighting with men.
Well, Alicia,
I don't.
would you believe that the cheating that you're referring to has flipped now to where women are cheating as high or at a higher rate than men?
Yeah, and what I hear them telling me is that they want to give him a taste of his medicine
Mm-hmm.
and make him feel the same pain. I have balls too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It's it's
I
it's
will
a
say that.
competition.
I mean, and I actually on my show last night, I had a woman actually admit that she was having. I I don't. I'm not going to say anybody's names, but it is not uncommon, whether you guys want to believe it or not, for women under age 40 to be the ones out here having as much or more relations than their male counterparts. Women are actually doing or cheating heavily, and to the point now to where, because there's no consequence. There used to at least be a social stigma. Now,
Hmm.
not only are women
Hmm.
not cheating, not only are women cheating, women are actually leading, saying, "I need a man who's A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and he needs to break it down in the bedroom." It's like, that's hella masculine. D
I'm,
actually
I'm
breaking relationships with men who have everything checked, but the sexual chemistry is not there. And I'm like, God damn, where's this? Where are we going as a community?
I have I recently had a young woman call me out
Tiffany,
of the
you're
blue
next.
to ask me if I was cheating with her current boyfriend, who is my ex boyfriend.
All right.
And she and I have hit it off because she is now pregnant with his child,
Oh
and
Lord,
yeah, it's
Lord have
it's
mercy.
crazy. I got rid of him because he was a player and all of that stuff. And she called me,
Yeah,
"Are
shout
you
out to the
messing with
players.
him?" Right. And I said, "No, I'm not messing with him. I'm not messing with him." But she hit on me too. I mean, she
Well,
she she
yeah.
she hit
How old
on
is
me.
she? I know.
And
Well, I
she's
heard you.
38.
I
She,
heard you. Look,
it's
I'm gonna have
crazy.
to do a whole show on this
On
next
that.
level of freakiness, but appreciate you.
Okay. All right,
Cause
Kevin. Great
uh,
talking with
thank. I'm gonna be honest, man. Tiffany, you're next. Look, that's why I didn't get the young feminist who wanted to. I know too much. I've seen too much. Ladies, you cannot have it all. And saying that it is far more common today for the women to be out there doing their thing than men. But you hear all the time about the things that men do. Women today lack accountability and consequence to the point to where is this getting you? You can have your man, affairs, girlfriends, and no one is holding you accountable to your actions or your consequence. Where is this going to end? The Bible talks about Sodom and Gomorrah, whether you believe in the Bible or not. Where's the natural end of all this excess? And can't nobody tell you nothing.
The lady you called in before, that you never hear about any of those stories. But
Mm-mm.
like 2 weeks ago, I was talking to my brother. He's 10 years older than me.
I didn't say I
And
never hear any of those stories. Those I do hear the stories, ma'am, and things do exist. Let's be clear. But
I
they've
was going,
risen.
well,
But they've
maybe
risen
you
to
said
a
you never see it in real life. You had said
no,
something along.
ma'am. No. It's a matter of occurrence. It happens, but is it the norm? Is it the majority? Is it even more than 10%? But if you watch my show, if you listen to women when they talk about relationships, how often women say they've been abused with no evidence, no proof, no nothing. It's a get out of jail free card, or no, I won't say get out of jail free card. Let me ask you a question before you explain to me how it does happen. Let me ask you a couple of questions before you do that, okay?
Okay.
How do you think it makes the women look who really do suffer abuse when women who don't suffer it use it as a scapegoat? What do you think about those women?
I think those women, like when we're talking about statistics, false accusals are like way lower than the number of unreported like assaults and stuff. So I feel
But
like
I'm
that would
asking
be a
about the women who.
negligible.
What I'm saying is, how do you feel about the women who falsely say stuff happen, who lie?
Oh, they make it more difficult for everybody.
Yeah, but how you feel about them? I know they make it more difficult, but what do you feel about them?
I mean, I don't really think about them. I don't have a strong feeling about them.
Well, you should.
It's bad.
Well, you should though, because if you have brothers, those false accusers are putting on them a man, and that's part of
I
the
mean,
issue. We don't. We let women accuse men of stuff, and men are held. A man gets accused of all kind of stuff, and he can be destroyed just by the accusation. When a woman is found even lying, she doesn't. She doesn't even go to jail. She don't go to jail for filing a false report. The fact that we allow women to just say anything with no consequence, to the point to where even a young lady like yourself wants to talk about the minority of stuff that happens instead of the majority of stuff where women do things falsely, and that comes down on the man and you have no feeling, is still problematic.
the majority of things is not people saying things falsely though. That's like
Oh yeah, hold on,
that's
hold on, hold on. If you the majority is what, unreported?
the majority is unreported. Like most reported assaults are not made up though. Like
Hold on.
I feel like you're talking about the
Hold on,
minority, not
hold on,
me.
hold on. No, 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 no. See, now you're about to get into a real sticky area. I want to be clear on what we're about to say. You want to say the majority of things go unreported.
Yes, and like look it up. It's statistically correct.
Okay, and then let's do the other side. Um, what about female or male abuse?
Oh, I'm sure that also that goes entirely unreported. But you were talking about in the original video with the person who called in yesterday. You were talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm not going to let you just go back and say that these happen and go unreported. We know some things happen and go unreported. We're talking about amount of occurrences. It's over dramatic. We've got to the point where it's hyperbolic. And just because you can say, well, there's some things that go unreported, we all know that, man.
I mean, it's not some things; it's many things.
Well,
If you look at the statistics, it is the majority of like rapes and sexual assaults going unreported.
I see. Now,
Like
hold
you're
on.
always talking about
No, no,
data.
no, 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 no. No, you're going to be checking on that one, because if you want to say the majority go unreported, how are you getting this data based
They
upon
go
what?
unreported to the police, but when you
Well, then
like
how do you
survey,
know?
it's like there are other ways of knowing. People
Okay,
do
well
like
then how do you
surveys.
know if it's not reported to the police and that's the legal method?
So okay,
But they're reported it. But so what? Just like, see what we have today, man. We have a cancel culture where women will go to the news media or online instead of going to court or file a police report. Why? Because
I
that.
mean, like so the data that you get from BlackDemographics.com is from the census.
Okay, this is what we're going to do with this one. I'm going to do some other people, and you and I can come back. Because if we want to do this whole data thing, I'm not going to say that things don't go unreported. I'm saying it's been over dramatized. And I can get it. They're like, well, it goes unreported. Things like that happen. Sure. But if we're going to go down this rabbit hole of if it's unreported, it's how about what happens to the consequences when it is reported? Bottom line is this, man. Reported or not reported, unreported, or whether it's a Census Bureau, Department of Health, bottom line is this. It is far more talked about than truly happens. And when it happens and it affects men, it's like, well, don't really want to talk about that. I'd rather talk about the things that are unreported towards women versus the things that are not reported versus the things that actually happen towards men. Not the show for that. This is a man's show. If you want to go advocate for women and talk about all the things that happen to women, there are plenty of platforms for that. Over here, you're going to talk about what happens to the men in this situation. That's what we're going to talk about here. I'm not going to turn my show into a platform for women's point of view when there are plenty of men that don't say it, Kevin. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Go ahead.
Hey, I wanted
Hello.
to speak to you. Hi. I wanted to speak to you about Dr. Shirazad Ali just really quickly
Go
because you
ahead.
were talking about how are things so bad currently.
Mm-hmm.
And my theory is that things are so bad currently because for so many years, I want to say so many decades, us women have been allowed to live without consequences. We've been coddled. And you talked about the color purple. And Dr. Shirazad Ali, she said, there's ways that husband, if
Yeah,
something's
we
wrong
don't
in the
want to go
marriage,
down that hole because it'll throw the whole thing off. That's what derailed her show when they talked about one of the correction methods. Doesn't work well in the West. Oh
well, yeah, but I wanted to tell you, you know me, I'm Muslim, and
yeah.
we have the same thing in our
Mm-hmm.
culture as well.
I know. Um, the thing is, that's what threw her entire platform off. They focused on what was said on page 70 and they ignored the other pages. And to the point to
But
where we're still talking about when you bring her name up, folks want to focus on that one of 8 things or 7 things she suggested.
that's true. But do you think that causing consequences or having certain punishments for certain behavior, don't you think that
I,
is
I
kind of a
think,
good thing
well,
for us?
yes, and I want to be very careful. We need consequences. Like I was just trying to tell the young lady who was on before, women today can do whatever they want without consequence. They can accuse a man of this or that. And whether it's true or false, there's no consequence to her either way. When an accusation like that, if unfounded, can destroy a man. Women don't even go to jail for filing false police reports. So she wants to talk about the things that are unreported, and I'm like, that's not going to work. Go to another platform for that. You will get no
True.
sympathy from me on that one.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed. But one more thing, Kevin, before I go,
Go
can I
ahead.
say something?
Go ahead.
Um, so I wanted to say, that's the reason why I think that things are so bad regarding your question. I believe
Yeah.
that that's the reason why is because there's been a lack of consequences, a lack of what is it called when you take responsibility for what you've done,
Accountability.
accountability. There's such a lack of all of it, and I think this is the problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And see, here's the thing. I want to be clear on what I'm saying because this is what has happened far too often. More men, when they're having this conversation, women like her, like the previous caller, will come in and try to derail it and start talking about, well, let's talk about who have the numbers. Let's talk about what happens to men. I want to talk about what happens to women. I want to talk about what happens to men. What happens to men when these things are said about men and it can't be factually proven or true? What happens to men when these things are said and they're patently false? That's what we're going to talk about here. You want to talk about what happens to women? Go to your platform or go wherever for the last 100 years you've talked about that. Because we actually had Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh. What? He's, before his appointment in the Senate confirmation, is having to address stuff that happened in high school. This is a man's platform, even though I talk to women. And I am not down with feminists, womanists, and I think this whole Me Too cancel culture is a cancer on this society. And it really damages actual things that happen to women legitimately. That's right, legitimately. And if something happens legitimately, you should report it. There are all kinds of mechanisms to support women and get them to come in. The shield laws and an anonymity. There are all kinds of mechanisms to protect women in the reporting, in the aftermath. What do we do to help men?
A 55-year-old saying that chasing freedom led to struggle isn't just a personal story. It's a reflection of how choices play out over time. Because freedom without structure, planning, or long-term vision can easily turn into instability instead of fulfillment. This is where Kevin Samuels would bring in a reality check. Because the idea of freedom sounds good in theory, but in practice, it comes with responsibility and consequences. Every decision you make in the name of independence shapes where you end up later. The real issue isn't freedom itself, it's how it was defined and pursued. If freedom meant avoiding commitment, structure, or accountability, then over time, that can limit stability, support, and long-term partnership. And eventually, the trade-offs become clear. Now, at 55, the reflection hits harder because the results are already there. The dating market is different, options are different, and the ability to reset becomes more limited. So what once felt like independence can start to feel like isolation if it wasn't balanced properly. The lesson here is simple. Freedom works best when it's paired with responsibility and intentional decisions. Without that, it can lead to outcomes that weren't originally expected.